Okay, welcome to the How to Age Well podcast, the physical therapist guide for adults 55 plus to be strong, balanced, and mobile to live the life you really want to. I'm your host, Nick Rech, owner and physical therapist of Rech Physio in Grand Island, Nebraska. We provide outpatient physical therapy in the patient's home and also group fitness classes. Just a reminder, this is not medical advice. This is for informational and educational purposes only. Please consult a licensed provider for treatment specific to you. And if you find value in this show, please share it so we can help as many people as we can. So today, we're talking with Betsy Spieler. She's a physical therapist with a passion for helping older adults. And the reason we're talking today is to hear more about her group fitness classes that she started for adults 55 plus. So welcome, Betsy.
Good morning.
I just wanted you to kind of give us a little bit of a background of kind of your career as a physical therapist and what prompted you to start this class.
Sure. I've been a physical therapist for almost 25 years now and have worked in a variety of settings, including outpatient orthopedics. I did that at the beginning, kind of first half of my career, and then transitioned to geriatrics in the skilled nursing facility. I've worked in acute care in the hospital and then also some home health. So have seen like kind of the continuum of care for older adults. And have just fallen in love with it. And so I still work in the clinic doing that 3 to 4 days a week at a post-acute rehab center. So I really do like and enjoy the medical side of it and seeing people really progress from just so weak getting out of the hospital to being able to walk out and go home.
Yeah.
So what I did find in just over the years is the need for something between rehab and fitness. I also have a fitness background, and my bachelor's is in exercise science. I was a certified strength and conditioning coach for 20 years. And so I've been in the gym. I love weightlifting, and it's something I do personally to stay strong and mobile with my own health. And I was having a hard time finding something to progress my patients to outside of the therapy clinic. You know, where do they go after outpatient rehab? Where do they go after home health? What I've known about existing community programs is that there was not a big focus on gaining strength, according to the research that we know about as far as the stimulus that you need to actually gain it. So developing, it's a class called UBStronger. It's housed in a gym called UBX. It's an acronym. So it's the letter U and the letter B. And so we kind of took a play on the words of the gym, UBX, and made a class called UBStronger55 plus. So
awesome.
That was something to fill the gap between therapy and fitness.
Good. Yeah. Yes, definitely see a lot of that with my own practice. So awesome. So, like, who specifically are you kind of targeting for this class? What type of person?
Right. We have it's not very strict criteria. One of the things that we have just for entry of the class is that you have to be able to ambulate without or walk without a device. So, not using a walker or a cane. So these are community ambulatory adults, 55 and over. Most are retired, but we do have a little pocket of people that are still working, at least part-time, and so they might come in the morning class if they work on the other days, or we do offer a late afternoon, like a 4:30 class, to capture some of those people that are still employed, full or part-time. So we really want it to be able to enhance their lives and make them more functional, stay independent for longer. You know, we have all ages in the 50s to in the 80s. So everybody has their own personal goals.
Good.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of folks, especially as they get older, kind of realize they need to start doing something. Yeah. You know, especially like with their balance or their strength, they kind of see some things kind of going downhill a little bit and want to do something about it. But sometimes I feel like they're almost afraid of kind of jumping into a class, or they're like, I've never lifted weights before, you know, and so they're kind of like, well, I kind of probably need to like do something before the class, you know, I don't think I'm ready for the class yet. Like, What do you say to
Right.
that?
I just validate their concern. Anything new is really, I mean, really usually people in their 60s and 70s and 80s have not been in gym fitness. They didn't grow up with that. They weren't, a lot of, especially women, weren't in sports when they were younger. And so this is all a really um, new thing. Do I have to actually work out in a gym? And so I really relate it to all the functional things that they already do. So you're already lifting laundry baskets. You're already lifting dog food, from the grocery cart into your trunk, into your house. So it's just not a dumbbell.
Yeah.
So I just draw a lot of correlations to all those functional movements that we're already doing. We're pushing open heavy doors in the wind in Nebraska, right? And so you want to be able to do that without the fear of it, flinging you and causing a fall. So just building confidence with all of those already functional activities. And then that's how we describe it. When I'm teaching a squat or teaching a deadlift, I'll verbalize that to people. Like, this is going to make lifting that 25-pound bag of dog food a piece of cake because you're doing a 50-pound kettlebell. So,
Right.
then you're only working at 50% of your capacity. When before you joined the class, you were about at 100% of your capacity. So that seems to resonate quite well with people.
Good.
Yeah.
So could you just give like an overview of the class to kind of give a little kind of
Sure.
idea of what the class is like?
Yes, it's twice a week, and that meets kind of the all of our recommendations for strength training, which is recommended for older adults at least two times a week for all major muscle groups. So that's what we incorporate, all major muscle groups, both sessions. And the workout is split into 3 sections. So we do, the first section has to deal with capacity. And so we try to do low reps, like only 5 to 6 repetitions of a weight, but you're trying to lift something pretty heavy, It's kind of like back to that, lifting that laundry basket full of jeans. Like, you only have to lift that a couple of times. You don't have to lift it 20 times. So we want people to build their capacity to do those heavy things a couple of times. That's the first section. And then the second section would be more for a little more endurance and hypertrophy focused to kind of build some muscle mass. And so the repetitions will be between 8 or 10 to 15 repetitions over 3 sets. And those might be multi-joint things like lunges or like a push-up motion. But they can also be some accessory motions. So I'll put in like a bicep curl. Of course, we don't just do a plain bicep curl. You have to stand like on a foam pad while your eyes are closed. But we have a lot of layers of things. And that's where I bring in kind of my therapy tricks to this. It's not just a standard like workout program. I have a lot of, the interventions that I do clinically with people to improve their balance and reaction times. I like to incorporate a lot of that into the class. So then the third section has to do more with agility, balance, core strength. We've just started now like a power section where we're doing things quickly and trying to build that velocity and stimulate those type 2 muscle fibers to wake up, to rebuild and work more efficiently. And so then the weight's not very heavy, it's light, but you're working through, a big range of motion and doing something quickly, which helps reaction times and balance. And
Good. I guess when you talked about lifting things heavy, I can hear some folks like, oh, I don't like to lift, I can't lift something heavy. But I guess that's kind of relative to them, right? Like, heavy for someone who's younger is going to look a lot different than heavy for someone who's 80 years old, right?
Right. Or not even based on their age, but just based on their physical capacity.
Right.
I have ladies in their 80s that are lifting a 60-pound kettlebell, but I have ladies in their 60s who are just starting, or they've got some more, ailments on board, maybe some more aches and pains, maybe they have, a joint that is kind of cranky, and so we're scaling. We're doing a decreased range of motion. or giving them a lighter weight. I really want everybody to learn really good form first. So we spend a good probably month to 2 months, just depending on people's prior experience and their body awareness. It can take a month to 2 months to really feel like you know how to do the motion, and then you feel confident adding the weight.
Right.
If you don't feel like the motion is natural or safe to you, then no, I wouldn't want you to add more weight to that. So that's where the small group comes into play. We have a ratio of about 6 people to 1 trainer. So, some people have been there a long time. They don't need a lot of cueing. They just need the encouragement and the tweaking of form when we do new exercises. And then some people are really new and need a little more hands-on and some modifications to kind of build that motor learning.
Yeah. Good. Well, you kind of touched on it, but just kind of what are some of the benefits, or what are some of the changes you've seen with some of the members of your class that you have so far?
Mm-hmm. I love writing down some of their testimonies. They'll tell me things during class, and I'll be like, "Wait a minute, I gotta put that in my phone. I want to write it in my notes part." And so, some things that come to mind are people that it's especially exciting when people didn't think they were going to be able to do something ever again, or not be able to do it very often, and they tell me, "Oh, I was able to just run up those stairs and visit my granddaughter's room, and it wasn't a big deal. But like last year, I didn't think that I was going to be able to go up to see her room anymore because the stairs were so hard." And they're like, "Well, now I just run right up them. It's not a big deal." And so, we had another lady that was like, "Well, I didn't bring up all my Christmas decorations last year because it was so difficult to bring the boxes up. And this year I brought up all 3 trees." So just those functional things and being able to do things without as much effort is a big benefit of the class and gaining strength overall.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a ton of benefits there. But so there's the person who's like, yeah, okay, I hear what you're saying, but my doctor said that all I need to do is walk, and that's the best exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes that's kind of tough to, go against someone's doctor, because the doctor kind of has a lot of weight in their mind. But how would you kind of approach that person?
A few different ways, depending on we spent some time getting to know them, and everyone does have an intake visit with me. So I kind of go through their medical history. I want to know what those prior, thought processes are, and maybe things that they've been told by a doctor, like, "Oh, my knee is shot. I can't do squats." Well, I'm like, "Well, you do get in and out of a chair multiple times a day, and that's a squat." So we'll modify things, to make the exercise of a squat not provocative to your pain, but so I just try to relate it to common things, a lot of common sense. Another thing is that we do some of the assessments that we've programmed into the class. So we test people when they first come to the class, and I show them where they're fitting with the community norms, like where they would compare against people in their own age group, people their own gender, and see, you're below normal, you're average, you're above normal. And so then they can see for themselves if the walking is really working, and how many different components of health there are.
Right.
So I also go back to the recommendations, the CDC and the, National Institute of Health and all the agencies on aging have, 150 to 300 minutes of cardio. So that's your walking, if that's your chosen, mode of cardio. And then 2 days of strengthening and at least 2 days of balance. So that's a medical recommendation. So we just kind of give them that information. And I also gently remind people, if they're ready to hear it, that usually physicians are not the experts on exercise. There are other health professionals that have more training and more knowledge in that, and that's why you need a team. We need each other. So just kind of joining, never bad-mouthing any other professional, but just saying, well, I'm part of your team now, so this is what I can offer.
Absolutely. Yeah, if their goal is to get up from a chair easier, walking, is probably not going to stimulate the muscles like squatting would, or unless you're walking uphill or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and so you kind of started to touch on this a little bit too. So if someone has arthritis or if they have aches and pains, like should they be exercising as well? Like, my knee hurts, I don't want to make it worse. It's kind of something I've heard. Like,
Yeah, that's a valid complaint, valid concern. And so we just, again, recognize that. And then I just go into a little more education about how they can, or just the mechanics of thing and how it works. Your muscles are supporting that joint. And so let's work into some modified versions of what we're doing. Because I want to know in the moment, like, is it symptomatic? Is it making your knee hurt while we're doing it? When I see them later in the week for the second class, like, was your knee sore yesterday from those new things we did? And I really want them to be honest with me about it. And so that's the key of, any good personal trainer, any, therapist that's really familiar with different exercise modifications. Like, we have an enormous tool bag of things to do. So doing no exercise is almost never the recommendation, right?
right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's very few medical conditions that would say exercise is not good for you. So, you're developing trust with a person too. They need to trust me. And so I need to give them something that doesn't aggravate their condition. So, and I also talk to them about getting physical therapy. Like, I have a referral network in my community about, if you've got something bothering you and you need actual physical therapy treatment to, kind of get to the next level, then, I'll suggest that as well.
Yeah. So you're checking in with them, like, during the exercise, modifying, you're making it work for them. Like, it's not like you're telling them, oh, too bad, push through it. Right?
No, yeah, there's no, like, no pain, no gain type thing.
Yeah.
And we do talk about normal pain. We talk about the, the delayed onset of muscle soreness, like, kind of that, oh man, like, if you really go work in your yard for 3 hours and then you're sore for a couple days after that, like, there's that muscle soreness that's normal after you've taxed your body and tried to stimulate your muscles to improve and grow. So,
right. So maybe do you just want to touch on that for a second, like the difference between joint soreness with an exercise and muscle soreness after an exercise?
Right. So muscle soreness can happen between 24 and 48 hours, usually after, a hard workout. So that's soreness that can be mostly in the musculature. So the stretching and walking and things like that, things to loosen it up will help it resolve. And so those are tactics that we have people, implement on their own to kind of loosen up. Joint pain is going to be different. It's more sharp. And then it can really hurt, like if you're at rest and then you go to move, then that can make it really sore as well. If you're losing any range of motion, you can't lift your arm as high or bend your knee as far. We've probably cooked it a little too hot, as they say. So, we'll kind of backpedal on that and say we're going to really be careful, and modify those squats. Maybe just do a hip hinge exercise, kind of give the knee a break. Yeah. So that's kind of the good thing about, again, the small group. Yeah. Those touch points we can do multiple times throughout the class. So
good. Mm-hmm. So kind of in the same kind of thought process here. So someone has had a previous surgery, maybe like rotator cuff surgeries are common, like lumbar back surgeries, fusions are common. Some people are kind of fearful about moving those areas again. Can those types of, for people with those types of surgeries, exercise in this type of class?
Well, obviously, yes, obvious to us. So that's not obvious to the general public. But hopefully they've had some therapy after those, especially the orthopedic surgeries. Sometimes they don't, and I don't know if it's different in your community, but it just can vary depending on the size of the orthopedic community. Customs and traditions are different in different areas. So typically in Omaha, people have therapy after their orthopedic surgeries, except for hips. A lot of people with hip surgeries don't have any therapy. So I've started kind of talking more about what people should expect out of their therapy. That if you have any joint, doesn't matter if it's upper extremity or lower, or your spine, is your therapist getting you to the point where you can get up and down off the floor? If that's something that you could do before? Are you walking without a device? Do you have normal range of motion? Have you worked on speed and power and things like that? And I tell them, if you're not doing that stuff yet, then you're not done with therapy. So, but a lot of people do discharge before they get to that point. So that's where this class can kind of bridge that gap a little bit. And so from all the therapy exercises they've done, this is going to move them more into some functional strengthening motions. And then we have a couple of people that have come back after knee replacements.
Yeah.
And so we've had to kind of bridge the gap a little more with maybe things that didn't get done in therapy. We're kind of doing them in the exercise class. Some people don't get back to kneeling. And that can start, 4 to 6 weeks. You can start putting pressure on that knee to be able to build up the tolerance to kneel down on that knee within, 4 to 8 weeks. You should be able to, kneel at least on something soft, but put some body weight pressure into that. There's all different ways to just gradually progress that. So, we have people getting up and down off the floor during class. And so we just give them the foam pads they can kneel on. We, demonstrate some modifications, and not to avoid it, but to just gradually condition that joint. So it's a process, takes a few weeks to get that done, and just encouraging them that they're not going to hurt themselves. It's not dangerous to do that.
Right. Well, so you're there to kind of show them how to so if they're fearful of like their backs or doing something to their back again after they have surgery, so you're there showing them how to do that gradual process and do it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you can hire a personal trainer to do that too. Like I also do some private wellness visits where it's just people have graduated from therapy and they want to get more into fitness, and so then they'll come to me for a program that kind of guides them more with that. And I have a lens of a physical therapist, so they're paying for my service in that way, where I really know what they've been through and can look for those impairments that might still be lingering a little bit, and then design a fitness program to address those things. That's what I do, and kind of with my one-on-one clients. But with a small group, it's much more affordable to do a group class than a one-on-one class or a one-on-one session. So, we're able to still do some of that. We'll stay after class, and answer questions, and we're just all about providing knowledge and trying to enhance their, physical recovery and keep them going.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to, a couple more questions along this vein.
Sure.
But so like, someone with diabetes or cardiovascular disease, some of those kind of other other conditions, do you have any members in your class that are that have those, or like, is that safe to exercise with those? We've got the whole list. There's quite a few of those cardiopulmonary conditions and diabetic things. And so we do talk about things that you might find that would affect your function. Like with diabetes, some of my clients have neuropathy. So we talk a lot about, improving your other systems of balance to be able to kind of compensate for, the decreased sensation in the feet. And then with cardiac and pulmonary conditions, we really do talk about pacing. So that third section of our program that gets into more of an interval style program, we talk about, personal pacing and what it means to kind of stay at a level where you're not overextending so that you're just so wiped out you can't do the next interval. So we do a lot of education on that, because some of people are on like a cardiac medication that keeps their heart rate low. So they just get out of breath really fast and their faces get red, and I'll come over and just remind them, just, do half of the reps, go through it with good form, and that's all you need to do. Everybody's working at a different level. Everybody has an individual history. So it's hard to kind of decrease that competitiveness in some people, though. Right. Because they feel like they want to do it, but, we need to keep them safe. So. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of awesome that you're creating that atmosphere where people are wanting to try to work hard. But at the same time, like, it's okay to take a break. Like if you, like you talked about before, to keep that good form, it's okay. You can take a break. Like,
Yes, yeah. We talk about active recovery. So if you don't, if you know the jump rope exercise or whatever like intense exercise that we're doing, do what you can do, and then just walk a lap. Just do an active recovery thing. You don't have to sit down. You just kind of just move slowly until your system kind of regulates, and then start again. Because it's really related to what you would do around your house. You know, if you're going to do something vigorous, like cleaning or anything vigorous around your home, you don't want to overdo it. You just, the pacing is a very practical thing to apply even to your daily life. So,
all right.
yeah.
So overall, we kind of tried to establish like it's safe to exercise if you're older. That even if you have kind of different things going on,
Yeah.
Being strong makes things a lot easier even if you're having pain or things like that.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And I mean, all the research just keeps pointing in that direction. So the exercise is medicine movement is not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think so.
Yeah. So awesome. Kind of the last kind of, devil's advocate thing here, like the, person who said, I hear everything you're saying. It sounds good. But I just can't afford to do a class like that. How would you talk to somebody like kind of has those concerns?
Right, that's a tough one because it is a cash program, so it can be a lot of money out of pocket for people on a fixed income. So I've had a few different types of conversations with people. For some people, it really is not possible. So we look for those other options in the community. Can you go do the strength circuit at a Planet Fitness where it's only $10 a month? Like at least do something. It's like just doing even machine weights. Even though you don't have the guidance, you're just getting out there and doing it is better than nothing.
Sure.
For some people, we run specials sometimes where it's 2 for 1, so you can join for a month with a friend, and it's half the price. So that'll get people started and get them just learning what their body can do. And sometimes they can just come for a month. So we don't have contracts. We do month-to-month programs. We also offer free workshops about every other month on different topics like nutrition, mindset, strengthening, programs. And so I encourage them to just kind of keep checking our website and paying attention to those kind of things because they can come for free to get that information.
Okay. Nice.
Another thing is to see if they need physical therapy, see if their healthcare benefits can help address something, and a physical therapist can legitimately set them up with a program as part of their plan of care. So sometimes it's kind of going back to the healthcare model where you need to just ask more questions and advocate for yourself.
Sure.
And so then your healthcare benefit, even if you have a copay, might be less than that, or less than the class cost. So just trying to look at any avenue to get them moving, right? And then there's always YouTube videos, and I have a few references that I'll give people with online resources that they can check on if they're really motivated to start something.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's awesome that you still try to, find a resource, give them something that they can do. It's not just, sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds awesome, Betsy. I really appreciate your time. If someone is interested in finding more about your class or who wants to try it, how can they get a hold of you? Or
if you visit, we have a few different ways. There's a website for the gym. It's UBXOmaha.com. Okay. And then our specific program, the UBStronger55 has a Facebook page, so you can look that up on Facebook and always send us a message through that.
Okay.
And then my email, which I don't know if you can link this in the notes below the video, sure. But it's Betsy@StayStrongOmaha.com. So I have my own LLC called Stay Strong Physical Therapy and Wellness. So people can just email me directly if they would like to.
Perfect. Thank you. Or is there anything that I missed, or anything last words that you'd like to leave with everybody?
Not that I can think of. I appreciate you having me on and kind of collaborating on, improving the health of older adults in our community. I know we're kind of on a similar track for offering that service in our communities, and I'm just glad to partner with you.
Thank you, Betsy. Likewise, I've really enjoyed our talk today.
Mm-hmm.